I'm Denny Eilert. I'm here because this month's guitarist features one of my heroes, T-Bone Walker, and I'd like the opportunity to talk a little bit about his playing style. Well, T-Bone's big period was during the 40s. During that R&B, with the original form of rhythm and blues, sort of jazz-based playing, always played with jazz musicians, very kind of what they call an urban style of blues. And, it's pre-Fender Strat and all that, so he's on a big arch top with a pickup in the neck position, little small valve amp, and he was raring to go. Well, I would say that him and Charlie Christian were the two guys that really popularised the electric guitar in the 1940s. I mean, before that, the guitar had been used as a rhythm instrument in big bands, so it's playing four to the bar, and just was a colour, very little kind of, very little solo stuff, apart from obviously Django Reinhardt, Eddie Lang in the 20s and 30s. But as the swing era kicked off, everything was big bands, horn sections and all that kind of stuff. And I think T-Bone and Charlie Christian were the ones that allowed the guitar to compete with the sax and the trumpet, which were the main lead instruments of the time. And so yeah, it's very sort of embryonic time. They didn't have anything to go on before. So yeah, no effect pedals, big heavy strings, high action. I think that there's debate over who really recorded the first, stuff on electric guitar, you have to understand that there's a little bit of competition involved as well. So, I mean, T-Bone was on record as saying that he had an electric guitar before Charlie Christian. They were friends in the 30s when T-Bone had moved to the West Coast from Dallas. And actually, they had a song and dance act together, which is quite an extraordinary thing to think about, that they were busking on street corners, dancing and singing. So I think they must have inspired each other. And despite the fact that Charlie Christian's music is more harmonically advanced, if you want, if you listen, the actual phrasing and the way that they, the rhythm of the notes that they're playing is very, very similar. And so, it's pretty clear to me that they were obviously, rivals as well as friends. The first thing that I'll show you is how T-Bone got extra kind of flavour from a single chord shape. And what he used to do was take the ninth shape in two forms and kind of shift them around a semitone either side of the root. So the first one that he would use for the one chord of a blues, we're in the key of G, would be this one. So what we've got there is the third, the seventh, the ninth, and then a fifth on top. So you notice there's no root. If you want a root, you can put your little finger over and get that kind of sound. So if you imagine the first sort of four bars of a blues going like this, that kind of thing, T-Bone would just shift that shape around and do this kind of stuff. Coming into the four chord, so we'd use this ninth shape, which I think is a bit more familiar. That's coming from with the root on the A string, so root, third, seventh, ninth, and then a fifth on top. And you do the same thing, so coming out of that G, and then semitone above the C chord, and then back. Okay, a trademark intro of T-Bone's would be what I call the descending ninth pattern. It's not strictly descending ninth because he does turn those chords into 13ths as well by putting the little finger on the 12th fret, in this case G9 or G13. And on a slow blues it might go like this. And then into the song from there. On a faster blues, he might do something very similar, but just would phrase it differently. And then into it from there. T-Bone's solo style would have been based pretty much on the minor pentatonic scale, but with Mixolydian notes added, Mixolydian being a major scale with a flattened seventh. The rest of it was, he did a little bit of chromatic passing stuff, and that pretty much is where he got all of his ideas from. So here's the minor pentatonic scale in G. And T-Bone would add these notes like the major third, the sixth, and the ninth. So here's what the scale would sound like with all of those notes added. So you could get something like this. When we get to the 4 chord, the C, we're going to leave out all of those extra little Mixolydian notes and just play out of the G minor pentatonic scale. So. So coming into the 5 chord, we're going to reintroduce those 6th and 9th notes from the G Mixolydian, which obviously over a D chord they change their character, but we'll just treat them as, you know, positions on the neck. So it might go something like this. So we're going to slide into the D chord from an E flat. And then going down to the C. And then we're back into G. So something else might go like this. So there's a nice little chromatic line there, and we're introducing one new note, which is a F sharp, which is right out of the tonality of the D7 chord. And we're going to play down chromatically to end up on the 9th, sorry, the 7th. So, how to get T-Bone sound? I think you're going to have to get yourself an arch top, neck pickup, lead, small valve amp, not too much top end, no reverb, and get the sound thick and fat. Have a little bit of fur, you know, a little bit of drive, but not distorted, so that, you know, it can be clean, or a little bit of, depending on how, so you know, you're getting that thing of, you know, letting your picking hand determine the dynamics, you know, and that's pretty it. It's really simple. That's pretty much That's pretty much all it is. That's all they had.